due to extenuating circumstances with our COVID situation this year, we obviously have been unable to hold our annual family night. And so what we decided to do is to form a video in which I sit down with one of our teachers from each grade and have a discussion about what is going on within that grade. And so with me, I have Mrs. Joyce Blackburn, who is in her 15th year here at HCA. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It is.
And she spends a lot of time with the 8th graders. So I would just like to kind of kick our time off with this question. What are we trying to accomplish with the 8th grade? I mean, we have specific objectives for each grade, and what are some of those for our 8th graders?
Well, with our 8th graders, because we are at the tail, we're coming to the end of our logic stage, and they'll be going to rhetoric stage next year. And so we want to have them ready for the challenges of high school for rhetoric stage. Part of that, and actually a big part of that, is classroom participation and being able to analyze and critically think about things that we're studying, to be able to form an argument, to be able to back it up, and then to be able to share that eventually. So that's really what we're looking at in 8th grade.
Yeah, so when you start talking about things like arguments and backing arguments, that sounds maybe like we do classical education here.
That's exactly what it is.
All right, so that's a great segue into this thing that we do called classical Christian education. That is one of the things that really sets us apart from other schools in the area. What kind of makes us unique in the sense? In other words, what does that look like? I mean, to do a classical Christian education, the 8th grade, how might that look different from other places?
In the 8th grade, or logic stage, sometimes we call it dialectic stage. In the logic stage, now they're taking formal logic at this point, so they're learning reasoning. And so instead of just looking at, for instance, when we're reading a novel, instead of just looking at what the character did, we look at why he did what he did. What would you do in that circumstance? And of course, we're always pointing them back to truth. What is the truth of it? And of course, we find that in Scripture. And so we look different in that we do a lot more analyzing, we do a lot more discussion-oriented classes where we're really looking at the why something has happened. We don't just study a war, we see why did it happen, and then what are the effects of it. And so it just gives them a chance really to think critically, to develop those reasoning skills before they hit rhetoric stage, where they learn more how to then communicate those arguments and those things.
Yeah, no, thank you for helping us better understand that, because I think sometimes people hear classical education, what does that really mean? So to kind of hear what that looks like and what you're hoping to accomplish in the 8th grade, I think is very helpful. As we think about our current group of 8th graders, every class is unique. And so as you think about this group, what are some of the things maybe you're seeing that they're doing well, and at the same time, what are some areas that we want to strengthen as the year progresses?
Well, it's interesting, we just had our first grade discussion, which is just exactly what it sounds like. We take a topic and discuss it, and then in class, and they talk to each other, and so they have to listen as well as give their opinion. And they did a phenomenal job on their first one, so I was very impressed with that. So their desire to participate, I feel like is there, and so that's a real strength with this group.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Is there an area that you're looking at this group going, we'd love to see that get stronger over the course of the year?
Just like with any 8th grade class, really setting aside emotion and really looking more at the reasons, the facts, backing up your argument with facts, and things like proof, evidence, things like that from text or from Scripture, or wherever we're having a look. So, and that really actually transitions, I think, in this age group, middle school age group, where they are very emotional in their arguments, and so to kind of be able to step back from that and to look at the evidence and the facts.
Well, you might be at home going, hey, that's great. I'm glad I can be educated a little bit, but help me out with the nuts and bolts, because there are things I have to be prepared for as a parent with my 8th grade child. And so thinking ahead, maybe even through the end of the school year, what are some of the things that maybe we can look forward to their parents might need to be aware of?
Well, I guess the big thing is that because this group missed Atlanta last year, we are still planning to take that trip in March, and we'll be gone. We'll be leaving March 16th and coming back on the 18th. And so I know they've received some information about that, and the chaperones that were from last year are going to go this year. So I've contacted them. So we're still planning on doing that, hopefully, if it works out.
Yeah, and be praying for that, because we certainly want to use wisdom and whether or not we definitely move forward with it. Of course, there's still plenty of time as we look at that trip, but we know your children are very excited about it, and they were disappointed to have missed it last year. Want to address you as the parent. We are asking that you would contact one of your child's 8th grade teachers to sign up for a parent-teacher conference. Now, you have received an email, and that gives you directions regarding how to do that. If you have more than one child in the 7th through 12th grades, you're going to need to actually sign up as many different times as you have children. In other words, you can't use one form to do that, so please use one form per child. Again, I want to thank Mrs. Blackburn for joining us.
Sure.
This is kind of a new thing for us, but it's a lot of fun to make a video like this. So thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you at the Parent Teacher Conference.